Hello and welcome back to another Unity programming tutorial. In this video we're going to be looking at creating a platform patrolling enemy similar to the Koopas in Mario games. So with that said, let's have a look at what we're going to create and then we'll start creating it. Okay, so I've got an empty project with two empty scenes, one for game object demo and one for a tile map demo. I've created some prefabs just to make this a bit quicker, so we'll start on with game objects. So if we drag our background in, we need to change our camera size to 10 for it to fit in. And we'll have a look down there, we've got a background. Okay, we'll take a quick look at the background. I've got this ground which has just got a box collider on it. Nothing special. And the water left and right is just sprites with no box colliders at all. We've got some walls. So let's have a look at those. Again, it's just a standard game object with a box collider attached. But we'll use that in a minute. So we'll get rid of that. And then we've got our enemy. Our lovely evil bunny. And what we want to try and do is get him to walk from this point to this point. And when he notices there's no box collider, we want it to turn around and reverse direction and start moving again. So let's get into the code. Okay, on the bunny I've got an empty script. We'll quickly take a look at that. As you can see, it's just empty. So the first thing we need to do is declare some variables up here. So we'll start with our collision variables. Okay, for the collision setup we've got two floats, one for the radius of our ground and wall check game objects. We've got their transforms and then we've got two layer masks for our collision layers. We can use a single layer if we want, but the way I've got this set up is we can choose separate layers. Next we need some variables for the enemy to move with. Okay, so this is our enemy setup. We've got our move speed. We've got three balls. One for if we're facing right, one for if we're touching the ground, and one for if we're touching a wall. And finally we've got our reference to our rigid body. So the first thing we need to do is jump down into the start method and grab our rigid body when it starts up. So RB equals get component rigid body 2D. So this will get the rigid body attached to the script. We want to change this to fixed update. And then we want a couple of methods in here. Okay, we've got one to check physics and one to apply our movement to our character. So we can create those. Okay, in our movement, we need to type this. Okay, first we have an if statement, and what we do is we check if we're not grounded and we're touching a wall, we want to flip. So either scenario. We need to create the flip function, so we create that. And then what we're doing is we're checking if we're facing right, we'll move to the right. And if we're facing left, we'll move to the left. Okay, so now let's implement the simple flip function to flip the player. Okay, so what we do is we check if it's facing right or not facing right, depending on whether or not it is, we just rotate the character 180 degrees. And finally, we can fill in the check physics method, which is just going to check if we're touching the wall or touching the ground. Okay, so we've got our two balls, our touching wall and our is grounded ball. And what we're doing is we're just drawing an overlapping circle at the position of our ground check radius and our collision layer. Okay, I'm just going to flip this around. And one final method we can put in, now this is entirely up to you, this is to draw the gizmos, so we can have a look in the inspector and see our collision circles. So let's quickly just chuck that method in. Okay, and what we're doing is we're just drawing a couple of wire spheres at the positions with the radiuses that we set up here in our collision setup. We can now save the script. That should be the script all finished and everything we need to do in there. Now we can jump back in Unity, set some values and see what happens. I've got some default values set up there. What we need to do is come up into here and create some new layers. So let's add 2 new layers, ground and wall. Okay, so we need to add the layers. Okay, we'll assign the ground layer to the ground object on the prefab. In the enemy, we will select ground for ground layer, wall for wall layer, so we now just need to create the check positions. So if we jump up here, create an empty object, we'll call this one ground check. Okay, and if we drop down and drag it into there, you'll notice now we've got this little circle appeared. So we want to move the ground check down to the ground. And then we move it to his front foot. Say roughly there. Okay, now if we duplicate that, we call this one our wall check. And because our wall tile is only one high, we'll put it round about there somewhere. You'll notice we can't see it, so to fix that, we'll just drag that into our transform down here. All of a sudden the wall checks come up. That looks good to me. We'll slow him down a little bit to 3. We've got those filled in. We'll scroll out a little bit so we can see in here what's going on. Okay, and if I've done everything correctly, when I hit play, the bunny should walk to the right, get to the edge of the platform, turn around and come back again. So let's have a look and see if it's working. Okay, let's see what happens. Yep, as you can see, he's now patrolling along that platform. We haven't needed to set any waypoints. He gets to the end and he flips, turns around and comes back again. Okay, now what we'll do is we'll stick a couple of wall objects in his way. If we tag that to the wall layer and apply that to our prefab, we'll duplicate that. we'll give it a negative position. So we've got one each side. Click play. And as you can see now, when he hits the wall, he turns around and comes back again. So there you have it. This is how we can make a platform patrolling enemy in Unity. This is part one of 2 videos. I'm going to make the second video in a minute. That'll just be on how to create the same system but using a tile map. I hope you've enjoyed the video. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Join my Discord channel if you want to come and chat with me. And I will see you in the next video.